Hello and welcome to another edition of Mexico News Network's Breaking News Business on location, here at the El Dorado Royale Spa Resort in Mexico's Riviera Maya. I'm Elliot Bullman. Let's start with today's show. Mexico's trade alliances with the United States and Japan could explain why they decided to deport North Korea's ambassador to Mexico. But how exactly does Mexico benefit from the expulsion of the North Korean ambassador? The government of Enrique Peña Nieto expelled the North Korean ambassador Kim Jong-il in response to the nuclear tests and the long-range missile launches that his country conducted during the recent months. In a statement, the Mexican government said that it was acting in compliance with UN Security Council resolutions. However, for Chancellor Luis Videgaray, this doesn't necessarily mean breaking relations with North Korea. But the North Korean government did not take the measure very well. The North Korean ambassador to Mexico, Hyung-il, described his expulsion as an ignorant measure and went on to accuse Mexico of defending the United States, a country which in his view has been an aggressor towards North Korea for over half a century. Trade relations between Mexico and North Korea are largely insignificant. Mexico is the source of only 1% of North Korea's total imports, after Pyongyang bought about $45 million worth of Mexico oil in 2015. And Mexicans bought $13.8 million in North Korean products, including computer parts, according to data from the Observatory of Economic Complexity. However, Korea's ballistic tests put Mexico's main trading partner in Asia, Japan, at risk. During the 6-year term of Peña Nieto, bilateral trade between Mexico and Japan has increased significantly, from $9.7 billion in 2012 to $21.5 billion in 2016, making Japan the third biggest partner of Mexico in the world. In my view, now that Peru has also taken the same measure to deport a North Korean ambassador, Kim Jong-un is seeing growing condemnation for his radicalism. China, the world's biggest car market, has plans to ban the production and sale of both petrol and diesel cars and vans. The country's Vice Minister of Industry said it had started relevant research, but that it had not yet decided when the ban would come into force. China made 28 million cars last year, almost a third of the global total. Both the UK and France have already announced plans to ban new diesel and petrol vehicles by 2040 as part of efforts to reduce pollution and carbon emissions. Chinese-owned car maker Volvo said in July that all its new car models would have an electric motor from 2019. Other global car firms, including Renault, Nissan, Ford and General Motors, are all working to develop electric cars in China. China wants the sale of electric battery cars and plug-in hybrids to account for at least 1/5 of total vehicle sales by 2025. The proposals would require 8% of automakers' sales to be battery, electric or plug-in hybrids by next year, rising to 12% by 2020. The shift will also have a knock-on effect on oil demand in China. The country is currently the world's second largest oil consumer after the United States. In my view, international car makers will find it more difficult to earn a share of the growing Chinese market while these new rules of anti-pollution come into effect. With 600 outlets and counting, Starbucks celebrates its 15th anniversary here in Mexico this month. Sitting down to a latte or frappuccino is more common in Mexico these days than enjoying a traditional café de olla, according to statistics that show that Starbucks Coffee Company has come to dominate the café market in a relatively short period of time. The world's most famous and widespread café chain celebrates 15 years this month since it entered the Mexican market, and there are indicators that its arrival has marked a turning point in café culture. Earlier this year, Starbucks opened its 600th franchise in Mexico, and it now has a presence in every state of the Republic. According to data from the market research firm Euromonitor International, sales at Mexican cafes reached almost 76 billion pesos last year, of which Starbucks took 39%, completely dominating homegrown cafes. Its income was over 10.3 billion pesos in the most recent quarter, up 14.1% over last year's figures. One upside of Starbucks' Mexican presence is the employment it's created, about 7,000 people throughout the country. This number, that will only continue to grow as an estimated 50 to 55 new outlets are to open both this year and next, backed by an 800 million peso investment. The company has been praised for its support of local coffee growers, especially those in Chiapas, where it implemented an ethical and sustainable farming program and has supported producers there when disease has threatened crops. But the company has also encountered resistance to its increasingly ubiquitous presence, an increase in anti-US sentiment, and the creation of a social media campaign calling on consumers to boycott Starbucks and other US brands was cited by at least one analyst as being responsible for a 9% decline in sales during the first quarter of this year. Despite the criticism and a recent dip in sales, in my view, Starbucks is still the #1 brand for coffee drinkers here in Mexico and is outpacing its nearest rival by 400%. This was all for today. Thank you for your company here at the El Dorado Royale Spa Resort here in Mexico's Riviera Maya. I'm Elliot Bullman. Before we go, don't forget to check out all of our social media networks, Facebook, Twitter and Google+, and stay live with us on MexicoNewsNetwork.com for more information on Mexico and the world. Until next time.